Well, good morning, friends. I told you yesterday that I had kidney beans soaking. I never do the quick soak method. I always soak mine overnight. So I'm going to rinse these, and I'm going to get them back with some fresh water in my big pot, and we're going to boil these for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to can these up. I got a couple things I want to do today, and I know that I have said the last two videos that I wanted to do homemade pigs in a blanket. We're going to get to those, and we'll probably do those today. These are the two things that I have on my plate today: the beans and the homemade pigs in a blanket. And by the way, hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Renee. So we're going to get these rinsed. I got my kettle right here. And we're going to get them in there, and we're going to boil them up. There's not a whole lot here, and that's all right. I don't need a whole lot of jars, because I just cook up, you know, I cook up a couple bags as I go. So we'll get these on the stove and turn these on. We're going to bring them to a boil, and we're not going to boil them for 30 minutes. I did misspeak. We're going to simmer them, you know, a low boil for 30 minutes. So we'll get these on the stove. All right. We're going to bring those up to a boil. Where'd my lid go? Oh, I don't have my lid. My lid's in the dishwasher. I'll get it out. I'm going to put the lid on these, bring them to a boil. And while these are cooking, we're going to move on and get busy with our dough for our homemade pigs in a blanket. Okay, friends, so while it's not even to a boil yet. While this is going, we're going to get this bread dough done so it can get rising, because it needs to rise for about an hour. And then we can get those beans canned up. The only thing is while they're canning, I'm going to have to take a break, because you won't be able to hear me with my canner going right behind me. So anyway, this is a very simple recipe. I'm doubling mine because I'm going to do 24 of them for my freezer. These homemade pigs in a blanket, you can either freeze after you bake them or before. It doesn't matter. They freeze well either way. I'm going to bake mine first so that you can see how lovely they turn out, and then I'll put mine in the freezer. And I want to do it that way, not just so you can see them, but that way they're ready to go for my grandkids. And all they got to do is heat them up, because my daughter does have a microwave. All right, so first thing we got to do is we need 2 cups of warm water. Let me get that water heated up. I should have done that already. Okay, I got my 2 cups of warm water, and I am not organized today. This is real life in my kitchen. I gotta get my yeast. Okay, and then we're gonna do, I think this recipe calls for about 1.5 tablespoons of yeast. I'm going to sprinkle that right on our water. It also calls for 1/4 cup of sugar. So we're going to put that right in there all at once. And then we're going to give that a little swishing around. And we're just going to make sure that proofs. I haven't used my yeast in a few days, so I want to make sure it's lively. In the meantime, I'm going to check on these, and you can still see I believe so. These are starting to boil. Now I'm just going to turn them down just a little more because I want them to maintain that a little bit. I love to watch this yeast. It'll start blooming. It's like it grows right in the water. And as soon as I see that initial bloom, I know I'm ready to go. All right, I'm going to set this over here. You guys are going to like this recipe. You can do this with little smokies too. It's wonderful. But I'm telling you, nothing beats homemade. I've done it with the croissant rolls and all that, but I like the homemade bread. But I'm a bread baker. I love baking bread. Anything yeast bread, I love it. Okay. It just started blooming, so we're ready to put this in there. We're going to do a 1/4 cup of oil. Right in there. Gorgeous. I won't leave that again. I didn't mean to make that so loud. And then we're going to do our 4½ cups of flour and then 1 teaspoon of salt on top of the flour. Okay? Yeah, we don't want that. All right, so let's turn this down even more. Let me wipe this up. I don't want that all over. I hate when that happens. I better turn this down even more. Let that slow down a minute. I almost should have put these in a bigger pan. Yeah, that's just going too hard. Let me let that heat reduce. Okay, 4½ cups of flour. We'll get this. So there's 1, 2. You can hear my grandson in the back. 3. He's playing with Papa. 4½ So we got that. We may need a little bit more. This dough will be a little bit sticky, and that's okay. That's what you want. We're going to do a teaspoon of salt. I went through my salt yesterday and run it through my little mesh sieve so that I would get those chunks out of there so those could be ground up again. So now I got nice fine powdery salt once again. Okay, we are going to put this down. We're going to turn this on. I'm going to let this incorporate, and then I'm going to let it knead for probably about 4 or 5 minutes. It doesn't have to knead long. It's going to be loud, so I'm going to turn the camera off first. Okay, this is done. And remember, it's going to be slightly sticky. And that's all right. That's what you want. We'll come out with a beautiful dough. I'm going to move this aside because I'm not going to need this anymore. Okay. I want to put a little bit down there because this is a little sticky. All right. We we are going to use that same bowl. I'm not going to dirty another bowl to rise this dough in. But there we go. Get it moved all around in there. Get a little flour on it. This is a beautiful, lively dough. Look at that. Beautiful. I just want to knead it into a nice ball. See, it's a little sticky. That's all right. You don't want to add any more flour to it than you have to. Actually, I'm just going to leave it go just like that. Okay. So now, I'm going to oil my mixing bowl up. And we're going to put this in here, twirl it around, flip it over, and I'm going to cover that with one of my shower caps. Maybe. Yeah, there it is. And this is going to rise for just about an hour. It'll give us enough time to get our beans in the canner. Okay, friends. I don't know how many jars this is going to do. So my daughter had given me like 3 cases of pint jars. So I just, when I opened one, I just ran them all through the dishwasher. Whether I use them or not, it's all right. Anyway, let me get you up to speed here. I've got my canner on the stove. I got 3 quarts of water in it. I got that heating up because always remember, my jars are fairly hot. They're cooling off, but they'll be okay. But you've got hot food, goes in hot jars, and then it goes in a hot canner. If you got cold food, you can put it in cold jars and then into a cold canner. But if you mix and mingle any of those, you're going to get what's called thermal shock, and it could very well break your jars. So also, I've got vinegar that I am going to wipe my rims off with on my jars, and the excess vinegar I just toss right in my canner because it will keep your jars, it cleans your jars beautifully. It keeps them from clouding up is what it does, and it's wonderful. So anyway, here we go. I'm just going to go through and I'm going to fill these jars. I soaked these overnight, these beans, and then I boiled them for 30 minutes, which means they're not going to get any bigger than what they are right now. So I can go ahead and fill these jars with beans and liquid with 1-inch headspace. And that's a little too much. So we'll do this. That jar is a little hot. Oh, okay. All right. Ooh. I can take heat, but that was a little much. I'm just going to put these up to the neck because that way I can have room for some of this broth going in here from them. I did it again. Ha! One of those days, friends. There we go. That will work. And then I'll go through and I'll put my liquid all in them. Just a little bit more in there. There we go. These will be nice to have on the shelf. Absolutely. I know some people go through and they do 1 jar at a time, which is fine. It's fine. It doesn't, there's no real, you know, right or wrong way to do it. But I just like to fill my jars. I go in steps. I fill all my jars first. Then I did it again, yakking. And then I do the lids and the rings. And then I put them on the canner. That's just how I've always done things. Now, if I'm going to show you something and I've got a lot to do, why, I might do 1 or 2 of them completely. And then, you know, the rest of them off camera. Okay, we can put a few in there. We can put a few in each of these. That one can use probably a few more. Okay, I got it. All right. Now, we're going to just start filling these, and we're going to fill these to 1 inch of headspace. And I have got, I love this. Somebody, I don't remember who sent this to me. Joe Mama? I think you did, sweetheart. And I love this thing. I got its measures right here. I got measurements right here for an inch, you know, 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch. So that is grand. I love that thing. But we're only going to go to about 1 inch headspace. And that's it. That's a little too much there. Basically, 1 inch headspace is right to the neck. And then when we debubble it, we'll probably wind up topping off a little bit more. I have to do black beans. I'm going to go to my Amish gal because I'm out of black beans. Canned black beans, home canned black beans. I got dry black beans, but I like to have them, you know, shelf ready. I can just take them off the shelf and use them for what I need. So I'm going to go to my Amish store this afternoon because tomorrow's Sunday and she doesn't do business on Sunday. And I'm going to pick up some black beans, and we're going to get some black beans canned up hopefully tomorrow. Because I don't do a no-soak method. You know, I did a video on it. I tried it years ago. I think my video's still up, and I probably should take that video down. Because I did that, and I listened to somebody at that point in time who I thought was quite a safe canner. It turned out to be a bad thing. So they don't recommend dry canning or a no-soak method for beans. First off, it's because you don't know how old those beans are. And you don't know if they're going to be too hard. And it'll create a heat transfer issue. And in that canner, that heat needs to reach the inside of that bean to 240 degrees. And if it doesn't, you're setting yourself up for botulism. So by doing the dry method, you can't guarantee that it is actually safe. And not to mention, it's just not recommended for that safety reason. And I know there's a lot of people who do that, and I am not dissing any one of you. You all do what is best for you. But I will never do that again. I will never, ever, ever do that again. I want to make sure that my canning is as safe and is always a tested recipe, because I want to give my family a good meal, not their last. So I take no shortcuts in canning. I follow tested recipes. And if there's something that I question or that I wonder, you know, that can be done because I don't believe everything I see online with other recipes, other canning recipes, I'll call the Michigan Extension and I'll talk to them and I'll ask them. You know, there's a lot of resources out there for safe canning. And before I would tell you to listen to any recipe you find online, I would tell you to please, please, please do your homework and don't do any shortcuts, because you want beautiful, safe, healthy jars on your shelf. All right, enough lecturing. Let's see, we're going to, I think maybe when I get the air out of this one, that it will reduce down. There we go. It looks good. This one's going to need a little more topping off. Just a dot. There. We're going to get all the air out of these. Make sure you debubble. Beautiful. Look at that. Now this one can definitely use more. Oh, maybe just a little more. And then when you debubble it, then if you need to, you can top off, like I am, top off the liquids. Just a little bit. All right. That's good. And all that's left in here is liquid. And we don't need that. So, here we go. I got vinegar right here. I'm going to wipe my rims with this vinegar. Okay? Make sure you always do this and wipe the debris off, because it will hinder your seal, if it will seal at all. If you get something up under there, it's not going to seal. Okay. All of these have been washed because they came out of a new case. So I washed them real good. You don't have to boil these anymore. It's not recommended. You don't have to sanitize your jars anymore unless they're going to process for less than 10 minutes, because they will get sanitized in the canner. And you put your rings on, just finger tight. Ooh. What you doing, Mr. Wayna?
Liquefied.
All right. We can put these right down in here. You can use your tongs if you want. This isn't, with this ring on, it's not too hot for me to touch. So these are all going to go down in here. I know I could probably fit 2 or 3 more jars in here, but this is all I've got. So that's all we're going to go with. I'm going to take what's left of my vinegar and I'm going to dump it right in there. Perfect. We're going to put our lid on. Maybe. Sometimes this acts up. Okay. There we go. Let me center that on my burner. All right. Now I can turn this back up on high and get it going. This vent on top of my lid is going to start spewing steam. So once that does, and you want a good steady stream, this is what expels all the air out of your canner, which in turn helps to ensure your canner will reach 240 degrees or higher. You're going to let that vent for 10 minutes. And once that's done venting, you're just going to slip on your jiggler. And then when it starts to jiggle, that's when you'll time for 75 minutes because these are pints, 90 minutes for quarts. Beans will process the same as meat. I've got pints in here, so it will go 75 minutes, but you cannot start timing until it starts to jiggle. So when this is done in 75 minutes, not from this point, 75 minutes from the time it starts to jiggle. When it's done, I'll bring you back, and when it's cool, you know, enough to handle, I'll bring you back and we'll show you how that works. But in the meantime, I can't do anything in my kitchen because, friends, that's just too loud. Well, sometimes in life, we get pitched a curveball. My canner that I put these beautiful 7 pints of beans in will not seal. The gasket is rippled and I can't get it to seal. And the spare gasket that I bought for it doesn't fit. And it's the mural, the ones that they say, oh, this is the gasket for it, doesn't fit. I am so frustrated. I just about had a conniption, you know. So off I went down to my Amish store, and not messing around, I bought an all-American canner. No gasket. No gasket to mess with. I was to the point where, you know what? I am so mad, and I know you ladies that can out there would be right behind me. I wouldn't care if it was $1,000. I'm not messing with the gasket. No more. So I bought it. I just told my husband I'll be back. So we're going to get these beans canned up with this one. And then, you know, I mean, we can get it going. But then I'll look at all the, I'll look at the book. I'm a stickler about it. You gave me a book and I read it cover to cover. So I'll read this, why those are canning. Oh, it's got recipes in this too. Oh, how nifty. Anyway, this is just like a normal canner. It's got a gauge and a jiggler. It's got all the parts to get acquainted with. This isn't a review. This didn't come free. I just, yeah. We'll get it put together. And we'll get canning with it. Before using the cooker canner for the first time, read all important safeguards. Hand wash the cover and bottom with hot soapy water to remove any manufacturing oils. We can do that. Do not submerge the dial gauge in water. Wash the cover and bottom with hot soapy water. Well, yeah, we'll just wipe it down. Apply a thin film of olive oil or petroleum jelly onto the beveled edge of the bottom where the cover touches. Okay. Use just enough to wet the edges. It's got, okay, I guess you would just put it on your finger and run it around there. To help understand the operation of the pressure cooker canner, do a trial run by pouring 2 to 3 inches of water into the cooker canner after you have lubricated the sealing surface, and follow the step-by-step instructions on page 20, starting with step 5. I will do this, friends, and then I'll be back. And we'll get this going because I can't have these beans sitting around like this too long. Otherwise, I'll have to throw them out. So, but I think we can get this and then get them canned, and I think we'll be good. So I'll get this and then I'll be back. Actually, I'll show you first. What do I got here? This is the jiggler. I wonder if this is I got like 3 of these jigglers if it's the same one. Yeah, it looks like. Yeah, it looks like the same jigglers that I got. All right. And our bread, oh my Lord, our bread is rising. It's a good thing that's forgiving. We got 2 trays with this. look at shiny and beautiful. We got 2 of them because you can double stack pints, but you can't double stack quarts in this one. I wanted the 30 quart one because I do a lot of canning, but it never fit. It would probably touch that. Nah, I can't do that. That's too big. So that's all right. I'm used to the 21. I think mine was a 22 quart. That one is just this one here. It's got the beans. It's just a small one. It served its purpose. It was a gift to me. Somebody sent it to me a few years back, and I did use it. I loved it. But you can't find the gaskets for it anymore. This is heavy, friends. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're going to set this down over here. And I'm going to wash it and oil it and do everything it says. And then we'll, oh my gosh, my kitchen looks like a tornado hit it. This thing's enormous. Oh my goodness, that's heavy. Throw that box down there. Oh, look at that, friends. We'll wash all this up. That's a nice big rubber band. I saved these because you know what I use these for? I use these for banding my big bunches of kale for my market stand. So I saved that. All right. I'll get this all cleaned up. And I probably won't ever have to buy a canner for a long time to come. But I'll get this all cleaned up. Yeah, it's got schmutz in it. And then I'll get it oiled. I'll do a test run. And then we'll get these beans going in it. And I'll show you that. We did the little test run on it. And it works quite nice. So I'm just switching these over. I'm hoping they're still, I think they're okay. I never quite had this happen before, but oh, that's hot. All right, now this goes to the right of this because that little knot goes under that lug. Hello, friends. Stay right there a minute. Okay, now we take one from each side.
Make sure it's even.
Make sure it's even. Well, I think so. Look, does it look even to you? Look good?
Yeah.
Okay, now it says just tighten them tight with your fingers because you can't break it or anything like that. And of course, I'm not very strong because I got arthritis in my thumbs. You think that's good enough? Because you can't use a wrench on it. All right. She's a beauty. She cost me a whole week's pay. She cost you a whole week's pay. Mm-hmm. No, she didn't cost a whole week's pay. This is
yes, it did.
No, no, this is the 921 model, and it was $468. But you know what? It'll last. It well more than paid for itself. So it might be a big dent in the wallet, the initial purchase, but it will save money in the long run. So our dough probably needs to be taken care of right now, but I have to regroup and clean this mess up and put this stuff away and babysit this for just a minute. I'm not used to a gauge, friends. I've always just had a jiggler, and I could go by the sound of my jiggler, you know, whether everything was okay or not. I could always tell everything by the sound of my jiggler, and you, those of you who are seasoned canners with a jiggler know what I'm talking about. But I've never had a gauge, and I don't know with this one, with it being having a jiggler and a gauge. Do you gotta babysit the gauge, or do you trust the jiggler? You know, I don't know. I never used this before. This is all new to me. So I guess we'll learn it together. But I'll keep an eye, because I have to go at 10 pounds because of my altitude. And this way I can regulate the heat accordingly. And we'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get these bean cans. We will get these beans canned if it kills me. All right. Let me get my mess cleaned up. Okay. That's sealed beautifully, and you can see it spewing. And I got the timer set. We really need to get these going. Those are a little sticky. So you know what I'm going to do? I got everything ready for this. So I'll show you real quick how this works. And then, when that starts making a bunch of noise, I'll keep going and, you know, regular motion. And so you can see how everything goes. We're going to put a little, get a little on our hands. This is a sticky dough, and that's okay. It's supposed to be. Okay, I'm just going to take and get all the air out of this. We're going to shape this into a log the best we can. And we're going to do our best to get 24 pieces out of this. So, one, two, three, four, five. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. We'll take a little bit from each one of these and make another one. Okay, I think we got it there. Alright, now what we're going to do is move this over. Get just a little bit of flour on the table. Roll this out. There's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That's what we need. Okay. Now we're just going to start rolling this. I want that to stick nicely. And we're going to pinch it so that it stays on there. Put that on our tray. We got a couple more here. We're going to roll these out. In fact, I could roll 2 of them together. Get these rolled out nicely. No. Come on, that was too thick there. All right. Okay, that's good. Okay. My timer should be going off pretty soon for that. Okay, pinch that bottom so it stays on there. This can stand to have a little more. I'm so excited about that. You know, we certainly aren't magazine perfect, but they'll be a nice addition if you've got kids to your freezer for a nice quick lunch. And there you go. Just pinch that edge on there and it'll stay in place. All right. It's at 10 pounds, and it's jiggling. It's gonna jiggle. Look at that beauty go. I did see in the book where it said you should adjust the temperature so it doesn't jiggle it should jiggle between 1 and 4 times a minute. So it's getting there. And it's at 11 pounds of pressure. In the meantime, I got these all done. Now we are going to, hang on one second. I have to get something. I got to pinch it together. I wanted to get my sesame seeds. All right, we're going to do an egg wash on these. I have to set my oven to 400. This thing is beautiful. You know, after I use this a few times, I'm going to wonder how I lived my life so long without one. That gauge is designed to start releasing pressure at 18 pounds of pressure. So when it's jigging constantly like mine was, that means it's running too high of pressure. So I got my stove is almost at low. So it's doing good. All right. So we are going to do an egg wash on these and get these in the oven. So I'm going to crack 2 eggs because we got 24 of those. They're kind of messy, they're kind of hard, especially when you got your mind set on something else and then I didn't count right. I cut 12 instead of 24, so we had to go back and fix that. We're only going to put a couple tablespoons of milk in there. Look at how it's doing, Papa. Huh? Look at how it's doing. See where it's at? 11 pounds of pressure. And that jiggles between 1 and 4 times a minute. This is a beautiful piece of art. I think so. Actually, I don't want to use that. I'm going to use this. And whip it all up. You want to have these for dinner?
Not much stuff.
Yeah, that much. Sorry. Yes, you do. I'll make you whatever you want. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, hot dogs wrapped up.
Hot dogs wrapped up?
Yep.
Is that what you want?
Yep.
Alrighty then. That's what you'll get. Okay, let's see. Where are my... Okay. I got my oven set, so by the time we get these done, it'll probably be ready to go. And then these are going to bake for 15 minutes. Oh, isn't that pretty? I love making these. Except when I got my bearings got all jacked up over the canner and having to stop everything I was doing to go and get another canner and oh my yay. So yeah, it throws you out of whack. And then I got my mind on that because, you know, that's nothing to mess with. You got to make sure everything's safe. But we got it. We're in control. We work well under pressure. As long as we have coffee. These are going to be nice. I'll give Papa and the kids these for dinner. And then the rest I'll pack up in the freezer. And then I'll probably make more later after I get this canner done. And then I'll send some of my daughter's way. And she'll like that. Her and the kids will love that. Oh, I think these are going to be nice. Well, today was definitely real life in my kitchen, friends. Sometimes this is how my life is. And I still love it. I'm just thankful I had a little nest egg. You know, you always got to have a nest egg for emergencies. Well, I'm going to tell you, some people might not think that a canner is an emergency. But when you do canning to preserve food, yeah, that warrants taking it out of your nest egg. So, now I got a few sesame seeds here, sprinkling on them. You don't have to. You can omit the sesame seeds, but it'd be a good idea to do the egg wash because that's what gives it its beautiful color. Okay. I got a little too much on that one. That's all right though. Okay, those are all ready for the oven. And they're going to bake at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. And I can drink my coffee and admire my new gadget. It is this. It's at 11 pounds of pressure. I think it's jiggling like it should be. I think it might be a little more than 4 times a minute, but I think it's okay. That thing is gorgeous, friends. I wanted to get the 30-quart one. That thing would have never fit under my stove. it would have been way, way up here. This is a 21 quart, so another 10 quarts. It'd have been up there a little ways. It'd be too big. I had a 22 quart. This is a 21 and a half quart. And I had a 22 quart. Oh my goodness, forever. That old canner of mine, it's still, if I could find a gasket for it, I'd still be using it. Because it's a beautiful stainless canner, but it's from 1972. All right, my oven is ready, so these are going in, friends. You know, these are expensive. Yes, they are. But it's not like you got to buy one every year. You can, I bet you that'll last for a long time. As long as you don't put cold water in when it's hot. It's cautions you about that. My stainless one, it didn't matter. But, because my big stainless one, when I used to make, I had a friend that would bring over these huge round steaks he raised his own beef. And I'd do that and roast, and I'd cook it in my big 22 quart pressure canner. And to release that pressure, rather quick, I would just run cold water over the top of it. And it would hiss and release all the pressure, like within, a minute. You can't do that with these. It'll crack. This is cast aluminum. Stainless is one thing, but you can't do it with cast aluminum. You'll crack it, it says. So, can't do that. Well, there we go, friends. This thing is beautiful, and it works like a dream. It jiggled for a little bit, and I had to go and read the book, further into the book, to find out just how it's supposed to jiggle. Well, when I turned it down to low, you remember it started jiggling, about 6 or so times a minute. But through the entire canning process, it maintained 11 pounds of pressure. And it jiggled anywhere from, 4 to 6 times a minute. I think towards the end, the last 45 minutes, it only jiggled about 4 times a minute. Perfect. I can't open it up yet because I literally just shut it off. But I can guarantee you that the beans inside of there are beautiful. And so are our homemade pigs in a blanket. They turned out wonderful. I've got my towel down here for when that cools down, I can get my beans out and let them cool on here. But that's going to be a while yet. You won't see those right away. Anyway, this was the biggest thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to show you how I made these. And even though I had a few oopsies and, got distracted, and I had a heck of a day, friends, I'm telling you. I'm surprised these turned out as nice as they did. Sometimes it's just my whole day is a flop. But that's life. Anyway, I hope you guys had a nice time with me in the kitchen. I hope you give this recipe a try. Those of you who are new to canning, that's going to turn out beautiful. It's a success. And I thank you so much for hanging out with me in the kitchen and being patient with me in this video. You all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. You want to try one of these? Do you want ketchup or mustard with it? We'll pick whatever one you want because they're not hot, but... Want that one? There you go. Which one do you want, Papa? And I know you want ketchup and mustard. And Alaric probably does too, doesn't he?
Alaric!
Oh my goodness, you just blew their eardrums. We'll give him this little baby one. Okay? And he can eat it just like that. Grab the ketchup and mustard, love.
Well, Papa?
Come here, baby. You want to eat a piggy in a blanket?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hot dog and a blanket.
Oh, there.
Yummy. Can you say hi, friends?
Hi, friends.
See, they're up there. Say hi, friends.
Hi.
I got your ketchup and mustard.
There you go. You take that. You want a couple of them, don't you?
Papa?
There you go, baby. Take your plate up to the table, lovey.
Oh, be careful.
I just ran.
Can't
You all have a wonderful day. My family's going to go eat.